One of the monks at the Syrian monastery recounts the story when he was suffering from a difficulty in breathing through the nose due to fungi and paranasal sinuses. He said, "I had undergone surgery. I had to visit the doctor every 15 days for an entire year, so that he would follow up on my condition. I was very much troubled by the schedule, as it was a long period of time that would deprive me from settling in the monastery. I returned to the monastery after the operation, only to feel so much more difficulty in breathing that I almost couldn't breathe at all through my nose. I was worried, and I told the head of the Syrian monastery, Bishop Metawos, of my condition. He took me with him in his car to Cairo, and I met with my doctor. He re-examined me and used a telescope and extracted adenoids from my nose for an hour and a half. He explained that my condition was due to fungus in my nose. After all the treatment I got, I still did not feel any improvement in my nose breathing. The doctor told me that he must urgently operate on my nose again. He said that he will make an incision under the upper lip to reach the nose and will kill the pockets that are in my face, and will make a hole in the bone of the face to use for breathing. The doctor gave me a letter that would transfer me to proceed with the required x-rays. I left the doctor's office very depressed. I went to the monastery's headquarters in Cairo at a place called Ezba-wiya. I met with Bishop Metawos. He asked me what the doctor did. I did not tell him about what happened, and instead I said thank God. He asked me to breathe in front of him through the nose, but I couldn't. He was disturbed and asked me again about what happened, so I told him everything. He told me to stay in Ezba-wiya until I completed the required x-rays, but I asked him to be excused and return to the monastery instead. Back in the monastery, as I was sitting in my monastic cell, I said to myself I should go to Father Faltaous, but I was hesitant to go lest he tells me to proceed with the second operation as he did with the first. This time it was different than the first operation because it was a more difficult and dangerous one. I got out of my cell with the intention to go to Father Faltaous' cell. It was close to 9 p.m. I found him with his disciple, who took the initiative and told Father Faltaous on my behalf. This father is still in pain after the first surgery and does not want to undergo a second operation. Father Faltaous told him, "I will pray for him." Then he asked me, "Is the condition difficult or average?" I told him that it was very difficult. So he told his disciple, "Bring me the oil of difficult cases." His disciple exchanged the oil he was holding with another bottle of oil that is mixed with the residue of saints' remains. Father Faltaous prayed a lengthy prayer and then anointed me with oil. When he was done, he said, "God willing, there will not be a second operation." His disciple asked him, "Shall I give him the remainder of the oil to use?" Father Faltaous told him he will not need it. I returned back to my cell, and I did not feel any improvement, so I asked myself if it failed this time. I was extremely exhausted and went to sleep. In the middle of the night, I felt something move from my nose to my throat. So I took a breath from my nose, and suddenly a big black substance, constituting of bone and pus, came out of my nose. I placed it in a handkerchief. I repeated the breathing through the nose. With every breath I took, pus and bone came out, until all the substances were out, that were about 100 grams. This happened on November 9th in 2008. On that same day, I met with Bishop Metawos, the head of the monastery, and he asked me about my breathing. I told him that I was okay. He told me to breathe in front of him. I breathed normally. Then he asked what happened. I told him about what happened with Father Faltaous and how right after he had prayed for me and anointed me with oil, substances fell out of my nose in the middle of the night. Bishop Metawos glorified the Lord and said, "May God be glorified through his saints." I was cured, and I did not need a second operation due to the prayers of Father Faltaous.